is for the white men. There has been a lot of girls in my DMs. This is for the white men. There has been a lot of girls in my DMs letting me know that they love y'all real bad, but they don't understand why white men don't come up and spark conversation or why y'all don't approach us.
A lot of them don't like black women. They might be sexually attracted to black women, but they don't like them.
In 2025, the era of Trump, racial tensions are definitely high. We saw how racially divided the nation was, and with the majority of Black men and Black women having a political alliance, in spite of the online gender war, we saw a level of solidarity that was unmatched. 92% of Black women who voted for Kamala Harris. On the flip side, white men were the most likely to vote for Donald Trump, which ultimately landed in his political victory. Trump's political win had a lot of Black women feeling sad, hopeless, overwhelmed, and depressed. Others also felt betrayed by white women whom they believed they shared a feminist sisterhood with. But in spite of their political loss, one hope that hasn't subsided is the desire to date and marry white men. But I want to break down the very real reality of what it may mean to date in 2025, today, outside of your race. There are obviously those who, despite of political, ethnic, or racial differences, are able to find genuine love and happiness. But just because it's 2025 does not mean we are in a post racial and post racist society.
Posted a video last night calling out some racist bullshit directed at my wife. And I see it all the time. Comments that are sexist or racist or both. A lot of my videos are just it's silly, right? We're having fun. We're making fun of my dancing. But it's also me showing how much I love my family and how much I love my marriage. And a lot of people, even in the year of our Lord 2023, have a problem with interracial marriages. And it is flabbergasting to me. I just don't understand it.
The following videos from a black woman and a white male content creator show just how real racial tensions are today, and sadly, how unprepared black women are for this reality.
All right, don't worry about my hair. I'm gonna take it down and wash it. I'm getting it done tomorrow morning. But anyway, this is for the white men.
So I'm just gonna let this be known. I do not hate pink people.
There has been a lot of girls in my DMs letting me know that they love y'all real bad, but they don't understand why white men don't come up and spark conversation or why y'all don't approach us.
I just dislike shit that pink people do. Like that whole thing with, the pink dudes, telling me, oh yeah, I like, black women too.
This is very true. White men, y'all don't. Y'all just stare. And I could tell y'all curious or maybe y'all scared or like I don't.
Whole time, a lot of them don't like black women.
But y'all just be like staring um at women of different races. And there's a lot of different races in my inbox saying the exact same thing. They're telling me, they want to talk to a white man. They are interested.
They might be sexually attracted to black women, but they don't like them. There's a difference, okay? Motherfucker, and that's what a fetish is right there. Like,
But y'all do not approach, which no, y'all don't. I go through the same thing. Y'all just stare and stare and stare.
for real, like you are sexually attracted to a person, but you really ain't trying to have no relationship with them. You just want to try something. Or you want to rebel against your family because they dislike black people. So that kind of turns you on. It's like when somebody tells you no,
And I wonder what it is that y'all be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because like staring at someone, for one, it's awkward. So
and you like, oh, like you want to do it. Like, mother ain't gonna tell me no. Like, I'm gonna go do this. You feel me? So that's the type of shit that I dislike. And
if y'all interested in a girl or whatever, go up to them. Because
I'm not saying that I'm the only genuine pink dude out here that appreciates black women, but I just feel like a lot of pink men do not really appreciate black women, and I'm not for that. I'm not feeling that. And
as a man, you have to be confident. You have to be, a leader. We want you to like roll up on us and, be nice, be gentle, be confident, make a joke.
I'm not gonna get no motherfucking. I'm not gonna get no motherfuckers no tips on how to motherfucking pull a black woman and motherfucking implement the black woman. Like, hell no.
Something. Stop staring. We love y'all. Come get us, please.
Sorry, that's what I mean. They ops. You feel me? Them real live ops for real.
because I'm about uplifting black women. I'm about appreciating black women. I'm not just about trying to get in, black women pants and shit. That's just not me. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely, I ain't saying, like, again, I am sexually attracted to black women, but that's not my goal for real, for real. But yeah, I just thought I had to, elaborate on that for real. I hope y'all enjoying y'all day already.
One thing I've noticed about Black women who are very interested in swirling is the ignorance around the racial tensions and the racist reality that exists today. I think because some Black people are so enamored by the symbolism and tokenism that happens in America, they can have the illusion of inclusion, particularly Black women, and feel that because of some of these tokens that we may see in positions of power, that means society is by and large post-racist. All it takes is these defining moments where ladies are reminded that we still live in a society that values race. For some ladies, this was what Trump's political win was about. But even today, you have ladies going and aspiring for these interracial relationships that they might think are so much beautiful and more glamorous than a loving relationship with a Black man, only to find that they could be met with racism, tokenism, or just overall being fetishized.
Okay, so before I get pissed off, why is there so many white men in my DM referring to black women as ebony? Is this a thing? I mean, I'm 31. I was raised up under a rock. I'm not really that hip, okay? But why? And it's only white men. I've never heard of a black girl refer to another black girl as ebony. Why are white men referring to black women as ebony? Well, where did y'all get that from? Like, I need to know. Before it piss me off, I need to know what it means. Should I be offended? Is that just like a word that I'm not familiar with because I'm younger or what? Tell me, y'all, what does ebony mean? And why is it only coming from white men? I'm confused.
So, as I've always said before, I am a supporter of genuine love between a man and a woman, however that may come. But it's also really important to be in reality and to be aware of what is going on today. Because too many Black women find themselves in situations where they feel like they're being taken advantage of, fetishized, because they put men or non-Black men on a pedestal instead of seeing them with clarity. And just do not fall into that trap. Keep the same level of standards and the same boundaries that you would keep for a white man or a non-Black man that you would with a man that shares your own complexion. That way you can eliminate the possibility of just simply becoming a white man's side piece or a white man's mistress. Unless that is what you want to be, and which at that point I can't support you on that one. But anyways, so those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.
Why do so many folks over 40 with type 2 start walking?
Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you guys. If you're hopping in here, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, let me know how you guys are doing in the comment section. So we have a few things we're going to go over today, tonight, depending upon where you guys are at. You know, this whole topic of settling, let me just say this. I only really hear women talk about settling. I really only hear women use that term. Like, I don't want to settle, or I have to settle for this, et cetera, et cetera. I don't really hear men use it a ton. But I think this is a relevant topic. Now, the thing about it is, I'm trying to think who exactly I heard this idea from, but it was probably probably a male content creator. I don't know, maybe Mr. Z, BGS, who knows? Edward Anderson, one of the ones that I hop around and listen to, right? But there was this idea of are Black women really for Black men? Are Black women really the woman of Black men? Or are Black women just around by and large because they don't really have the options they want with white men or other races of men, and Black women feel like they have to eventually settle for the men that they can get, right? Which is Black men. So this is an idea that I've heard floating around for quite some time. Again, I can't think exactly where I heard it, but I think this idea keeps on bubbling up because, you know, in 2025, post-election, after the 92% of Black women who voted for Kamala Harris, and we saw white men overwhelmingly support Trump, even with that, even in the midst of the tension, political tension, the racial tension, the tension with respect to gender, even after all of that, we still see Swirling thriving. I didn't see Swirling take a hit at all. I didn't see divesting or dating outside of race. I didn't see any of that language change. And to me, that was the most fascinating, particularly when Black women were reminded how politically misaligned they were with white men. We saw that explicitly. I mean, quite frankly, Black men and Black women are politically the most aligned in the USA, even in spite of all the gender stuff, right? And all of the bickering. And so with that, when I noticed how the election didn't really change any of the dialogue with respect to relationships, at least from what I could see, right? At least from what I could see. And I'm still seeing Swirling. I'm still seeing the same stuff that's been going on for, I mean, some would argue decades, some would even argue centuries at this point. And, you know, it really begs the question, okay, so, you know, Black women can be very vocal about their desire for white men. This is not debatable. This is not debatable. Of course, not all Black women think this way. Not all Black women are in that space. But there are very many Black women who are vocal about their desire to date out, or at least flirt with the idea once they've had enough frustration with men in their own community, right? Like that, it's just one of those things I think we're all very comfortable with. We're all an acceptance of. And that really does beg the question, you know, when it comes to the dating and relationship dynamics that we see going on right now, and particularly why there is so much tension that we see in these online spaces, that we see constantly these dating shows. It again brings up this question of is there still a genuine love by and large? Can we say there's still a genuine love that many Black women have for Black men and vice versa? Or is the dating market show that because of the amount of, you know, just heavy swirling and heavy divesting and all the propaganda that's been going on, that there's a significant amount of Black women who end up with Black men because they think they're settling, because they cannot find, they end up not finding the kind of men that they want. So, you know, this is a question that I have. I'm curious what you guys think on this. And also, it could just be, like I said, that there's a subset of women who are very open about their desire for white men, and there's a subset of Black women who are still very much for Black love, very much support Black men, me being one of them, right? Like there's that. But nevertheless, I think this conversation is relevant. And more I'm seeing even Black men share the frustrations and say, man, it seems to me that Black women, when they are looking at Black men and they're looking at the dating standards, the standards are super high. But when it comes to dating out, those standards are not there. He just has to be white. He got to be 6 foot this. He got to have all this money. He got to have a beard. He has to have whatever when he's Black. But if he's white, he just has to be white and show up, right? And so I've heard this is the kind of the different discussion. This is the kind of the different frustration that I've heard from Black men. So that's what I want to try to unpack some time today. Anyway, guys, if you guys are good joining, like, share, subscribe. For those of you guys who are asking for the link, help me reach my goal. If you can help me reach my goal, then I will be happy to bring up the link. But first things first, I want to share a few videos. That are going to help us unpack this a little bit. So bear with me. I'm going to bring up the first one that I saw. Yeah, we have a few things we're going to cover off. Okay. So this one, let's see right here. I'm going to bring this one. So I see so true what you said, Che. So I'm curious exactly what you thought was true, but we'll have time. So this one I want to share real briefly. I've heard men share frustration. Men who, again, have been very open about having a preference for Black women. I've heard them share frustration that, in their opinion, they feel that when they are dating Black women, when they are dating women in their own race, there are 1,000,001 standards. But when a person dates outside of their race, those standards drop. He just has to be white and are interested, right? So these are, again, complaints. These are sentiments that I've heard. Curious your guys' thoughts, but let's hear what he has to say first, and then we will get into a little bit. And then I'll have a few other videos I'm going to show you guys, but I wanted to start off with this.
You know what I found out in America? Black man got to be 5 to 10 times better than a white man for a Black American woman to be attracted to him. If you take a nerdy, lame-ass white man who has no kind of swag, no kind of communication skills, no dick game or nothing, it's not going to be an issue for them. He's going to be the prize for them. But if you take that same reverse for the Black man, if he's a nerdy man, have no good communication skills, and he doesn't know how to dress, a Black woman sees no potential in him. A Black man down there has to be perfect in America for the average Black woman to like him. This is food for thought. That's a fact. You can get mad all you want, but it's the fucking truth. And I'm going to give you an example for a minute. Let's just talk about DDG for a minute. DDG is way richer than a white man who Halle Bailey's fans want to date. He's way richer. He has more swag, better communication skills. He was valedictorian in high school, and he makes way more money than Halle. But they still would prefer Halle to date an average YT man. It's crazy, right? It's because they value the white man more than they value the Black man. You know what I found out in America? Black man got to be 5 to 10 times better than a white man for a...
Okay. So y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. He's saying, listen. Now he mentions in America. I'm going to assume that he's maybe traveled a little bit. Maybe he's gone other parts of the world, experienced Black folks in other parts of the diaspora. But he said specifically in Black America, it seems as if there are hella standards for Black men, right? But as soon as a woman dates out, those standards go out the door. So some of y'all saying everything he said is true, right? So some of y'all in agreement. Some of y'all here are not necessarily in agreement. But I do think it's a really, really, really interesting conversation. Because what I'm starting to find, a lot of this dissonance, a lot of this disconnect that I think happens within the dating and mating market right now, I think a lot of it goes down to a misunderstanding, a lack of understanding, sometimes just downright apathy. But nevertheless, I think these conversations are important. Yeah, you said my friend told us Black men start. Yeah, okay, so you were there for that live. He was referring to a live that I did a few years ago with one of my good friends, who she's still a good friend. We talk all the time. And this is a white woman. This is just a white woman giving her observation. And she's like, man, you know what? It kind of seems like Black men, they start somewhat with a deficit, not like literally. They're not literally from a deficit, but she's saying it just seems like from a perception, right? There's this idea that there's all these negative attributes that are automatically assigned to Black men that they have to work through. This is a white woman admitting this, right? Whereas white men, it's not necessarily that. And she went on to say as a white woman, she's like, listen, as a white woman, let me tell you what I have seen in my own life is that white men really just have to show up. He's like, they don't necessarily need to do much. But she was like, white men have the ability to choose winners. Again, this is what she said out of her own mouth. Let's see if maybe I can even find that little clip. She said this out of her own mouth. So I think that's what you're referring to. Again, shout out to you, Inspire Truth, with the $4.99. It says for the discussion, but I'm in the cloud today. Good to see you. Thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. Y'all gotta say hi to Unc, because that's my uncle. Okay. So yeah, so it is a really interesting discussion, and I can't say that I necessarily have the answer on it. What I can say that I've observed in response to this trend that I see, at least on social media, right, of Black women coming out and giving their affirmations, right? I did a whole live on that, I think 2 days ago, and I did a video on it earlier this week or last week, where it was Black women who were sharing their affirmations. And we're seeing this, post-recession, right? Or during the recession, however you want to put it. But we're seeing this in 2025 when now the cost of eggs has gone up, more people are embracing the van life, more people are forced into homelessness, right? And so we're seeing and movement of Black women who are starting to express their love and adoration for Black men, right? And of course, naturally, you have Black men who are like, I don't know if I can really believe this or not. I don't know if this is legitimate or if this is true. So there's that already distrust is happening between Black men and Black women. But what I will say is, I think as a Black woman, I'm finding, even if you have, first of all, any space, if you're in social media at all or have any room, it starts to become a problem when Black women see bad, degenerate, toxic, raccooning behavior and they don't say anything. Because what happens is, like, for me, right, I can sit here and say, oh, not all Black women, not all Black women. I can say that, here till tomorrow. But until actions show otherwise, Black men oftentimes are left to the conclusion that, okay, well, because we're seeing this kind of behavior and nobody's checking it at large, we don't see women organizing at large, we are left to conclude that this is what the majority think. And what I have found, and what I have seen, is that in this era of social media, where it seems like some of the most toxic, self-hating, raccooning beliefs get a lot of attention, and they don't necessarily get a lot of pushback from Black women. Oftentimes, Black men sometimes are left to the conclusions really to be like, okay, well, most women must feel like this. And then so from that, men are going to come to the individual conclusions. Some men are going to hold out and say, okay, well, I'm looking for that diamond in the rough. Some men are going to say, forget it, I'm not dating at all, I'm just keeping to myself. Some men are going to grab their passports and say, I'm going elsewhere. Some men are just going to date outside their race, right? And so they're forced to come to a conclusion. But what I'm saying is, when we start to see these kinds of ideas, when we start to see, ladies in particular, when you see toxic, unwelcoming, damaging messages about yourself and your image, and there's not a massive response or pushback to say, hey, I am not that. Let's make it very clear, I don't represent that. Then what that silence does, it shows men that you are complicit, or that you support it, or that you're involved. And I've noticed this, and I'm starting to notice this more and more over the years now, right? Where you'll see these kind of fake performative femininity trends pop up. You have soft life popping up for a bit. You have the soft girl era. Now you're having this whole like Black male affirmations thing. So you'll see these like trends pop up, but it doesn't necessarily land at large, because men are looking at the actions at large, or looking and saying, okay, well, what happened when what happened when there was this thing that happened? Well, what happened here? Like, I mean, there's big things, like with Kevin Samuels, right? That was a big one. Some of you guys remind me in the comment section. I'm going blank right now, but there's been, I think, like moments, like some pretty significant moments. Even I remember even the whole thing with Meg Thee Stallion that I did a few months back, where she did that video where they were basically dancing on the graves of Black men. And I was like, this is super offensive. I was very offended by that. I'm like, you guys don't understand. People are saying, oh, this is art, this is art, this is art. But I'm like, art imitates life. You had a whole video where you danced on the bodies of Black men. I was really offended by that. But a lot of ladies, I got a lot of pushback. I had Black women, I had all kinds of people pushing back at me, being like, this is not a big deal, not a big deal. But at the end of the day, the message is going out, this is a Black woman who collaborated with white producers, by the way, to create a music video about dancing on the graves of Black men. I don't care about the context. I don't care if it was based upon a movie. I don't care if it was based upon a book. I don't care. The context was, it was a Black female artist who collaborated with white producers to create a music video about dancing on the graves of Black men. I was offended by that. The messaging behind that is toxic. But because there was not really a pushback at large, again, men can look at that and say, okay, we see what you guys are thinking. So, when we're having these kinds of conversations, some of the questions I ask, they may even seem like outlandish, they may even seem a little strange or whatever, but they're coming from a place. And what I want ladies, those who may be listening, to understand is that even if you don't think that you're involved, even if you see somebody who does something, a Black woman did something crazy and there's a whole trend behind it, and you say, okay, well, that's them over here, I'm gonna just keep my peace. Silence can become compliance, as I saw some of you guys say in the comment section. And the more and more ladies allow this stuff to go unchecked, the more and more ladies sit and say, okay, she's speaking for me. she's speaking for me, and I'm letting you know she's speaking for me because I'm not pushing back. The more men are left to come to the conclusion based upon what general media is saying, what social media is saying, based upon the messages that are being portrayed. They're left to come to a conclusion about that, on top of some of the toxic relationships that they are having in their own life, or some of the toxic experiences they're having in their own life. So this is partially what I do, but I also understand, like, the if nothing else, even if I feel like it's just me and a handful of other people, it needs to be very clear. Like, we're not all thinking the same way. We're not all on the same page. I've said multiple times that I believe Black women need to abandon the sisterhood. And I'm not saying like you got to go and just hate all Black women, but I'm talking about you have completely have to, you want to talk about divesting, divest from the raccooning, divest from all of this self-hating, slavery mindset, toxic femininity that women have been accepting for decades. The stuff that's being celebrated through these shows, through these music videos that artists are being paid for, like, divest from that and say, I don't rock with that. That's what I mean. Anyways, okay. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. Shout out to you with the 2. It says, what's the percentage of Black women are he? I do not have numbers on that. I don't have exact numbers for that. Okay. So I'm going to play this again one real quickly, and then I'm going to hop into the other videos for those of you guys who are just hopping on. It's really quick, but this is a Black man who's sharing his frustration. And while I cannot say every Black man represents this, I do think there's a significant amount who probably resonate with what he's saying. So I'm going to play it again just real quickly.
A Black American woman to be attracted to her. If you take a nerdy, lame-ass white man who has no kind of swag, no kind of communication, you know what I find odd in America? Black men got to be 5 to 10 times better than a white man for a Black American woman to be attracted to her. If you take a nerdy, lame-ass white man who has no kind of swag, no kind of communication skills, no dick game or nothing, it's not going to be an issue for them. He's going to be the prize for them. But if you take that same reverse for the Black man, if he's a nerdy man, have no good communication skills, and he doesn't know how to dress, a Black woman sees no potential in him. A Black man down there has to be perfect in America for the average Black woman to like him. This is food for thought. That's a fact. You can get mad all you want, but it's the fucking truth. And I'm going to give you an example for a minute. Let's just talk about DDG for a minute. DDG is way richer than a white man who Halle Bailey's fans want to date. He's way richer. He has more swag, better communication skills. He was valedictorian in high school, and he makes way more money than Halle. But they still would prefer Halle to date an average YT man. It's crazy, right? It's because they value the white man more than they value the Black man. You know what I find odd in America? Black men.
Okay, so y'all got it. Like I said, some of you guys, yeah, you said he ain't lying. It's a wrap. So some of you guys are gonna agree. Some of y'all maybe disagree, but nevertheless, this is how some men are feeling. And this goes back to my original question of this live, right? Are Black women settling for Black men? Because he went on to say a Black man has to work 5 times harder to get attention and attraction than a white man does. And the message behind that is that, to a certain extent, the preference is a white man. That's really what he's saying. That just by a man showing up and being white, for Black women, that's enough. That's a flex. That's it. And so from that vantage point, if a Black woman has that belief, if she holds that to be true in her heart, that white men and Black men are not created equal, that white men are, their ice is colder, right? If they hold that to be true, then to a certain extent, if they end up with a Black man because they can't get with the white man they want, that is going to be her settling. And I know some, we've kind of heard this idea, right? Like the pro-Black divester who was on some swirl stuff, but then that didn't work out, or she ended up breaking up with her baby daddy and they got in an argument, and so she ends up trying to be pro-Black all of a sudden. And, so we've seen some of the stuff in action. But it begs the question, like, okay, are some of y'all just settling? And again, of course, I want to sit here and say, this is not all Black women. I want to say that and mean it. But what I also am saying is that I'm trying to articulate that, ladies in particular, when there is like crazy behavior that's going out there and there's not like a massive pushback, because one thing I can say about Black women is Black women know how to make a fuss. Black women know how to make a fuss, and they know how to let the world know that they are not happy. That's one thing we know how to do. So if we don't make fusses about the things, about the bad messages that go out about us, then people, particularly Black men, part of our community, are left to come to the conclusion that, okay, well, it's because we're in agreement with that toxic messaging. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Okay, so let me go. Now I'm going to go to this video that I saw. I thought it was, I don't want to say interesting. Let me say this. Let me say this about the video that I'm going to bring up. The one I'm about to show you, she's a content creator. And she went on to do a video about why she likes Black men. But then she also did a video on why she prefers white men. And what I appreciate about this content creator is her level of honesty, because I truly believe that there are women out here who share a lot of her sentiments. They agree with much of what this content creator I'm going to show you says, but they just don't have the courage enough to say it. And so what I like about this particular content creator is that she's actually being truthful and honest about how it is that she feels. So we're going to get into some of that today. This video was entitled "Why I Prefer White Guys." Okay, y'all. Also, can somebody tell me in the comment section, what is the "I prefer white guys" look? Can y'all help me understand this? What does that look? What is that I prefer? Y'all have to tell me, because y'all people are saying, oh, there's this look. I need to know. Please help me understand. I do know attractive. Well, let me say this. All the Black women that I know personally who actually ended up marrying Black men are actually attractive. They are physically attractive. All of them are lean. None of them is overweight. So of the Black women that I know who actually married, not like slept with, got knocked up by, but like married, they are all attractive, fit Black women. Now that could go into the theory that some have, which is, listen, okay, if you're high up in there on the look scale, if you're attractive, then you have more leverage with men of all races. But I'm saying that because I'm just like, I'm trying to understand. Can y'all help me understand what a Black woman looks like when she seems like she likes white men? Like, what is that? Is it the hair? Is it the wig? I remember there was this trend, I think a year or two ago on TikTok, where they were saying, oh, a Black woman with a bad wig can pull the white millionaire. That was some weird TikTok trend out there. But they were saying, okay, you can tell a Black woman is into a white man based upon how trashy her wig or her weave is. This is something I've heard. So y'all gotta let me know. Okay. Actually, I also want to read, before I get into what she has to say, I want to read her comment. Here it says, I'm not bashing any races. Nobody is less than. Black men and Black women are not less than. I do not support or promote colorism or racism. I am not a colorist or a racist. I do not want to be white. So these are probably all things that she's heard. I love myself and I am proud to be a Black woman. I'm attracted to all races and I go on dates with Black men and with men of all races. I must admit the roots of my attraction are probably based on my childhood issues of internalized colorism and internalized racism, because that is something that is still deeply ingrained in Black people today. Okay, so she admits it. She's saying, okay, so yes, I'm into Brad, and it's quite likely that my attraction to Brad started from internalized racism and colorism. That she literally says it in her post. No matter what, because of the still somewhat recent ancestral trauma of slavery being still ingrained in us. But I healed this internalized colorism and internalized racism back in my adolescent, early adulthood, and it's still what I'm more attracted to. And it's still my preference. Even after healing that stuff, it's still what I'm more attracted to. And I can't change what I love now. So I just accept it. I'm just more physically attracted to white men, even after doing my healing. I only really want to be in a relationship with who I'm most, I think, attracted to, what she was going to say. So she's giving. I don't know why that post was so funny. But she's letting y'all know, basically it's like, look, don't judge me for liking white guys. And honestly, I don't. I've said this before. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, people, it's okay for a person to have a preference. It is okay for a person to have a preference. The only time I have something to say really is when people go out of the way to use that as a way to bash their own community and to spread propaganda. which is one of the reasons I cover it off a lot, because what should be decent, what should just be about love and, two people coming together and building a family, whatever, oftentimes becomes a reason to tell the world how horrible Black men are. And oftentimes, like, the divesting and swirling can either like flirt with anti-Black misandry, or it can just blatantly promote it. Divesting is usually a lot more aggressive with it. And then swirling, depending upon the kind of swirler, they can maybe kind of flirt off and on with, like, oh, well, I had to swirl because Black men weren't this, or I had to do this because of that. You said trying to super chat. Oh, that's weird. I don't know why, Malarkey. I had some other people who were just able to do a super chat. It's good to see you. Shout out to Malarkey. Really, really good. I'm sorry, I don't know why, because my super chat, I just had 2. Let me guys know in the comment section if any of you guys are having issues sending support or sending in super chats. Yeah, because it should be on. I don't know what that's about. But anyways, what I'm saying is that, yeah, and most Black men either don't really care. From what I've observed, most Black men are not tripping with a Black woman dating out. It's like, it's whatever. It only becomes an issue when that becomes a reason for you to now throw your own community under the bus and then now create think pieces, okay? And then now create think pieces and blogs and YouTube series about how illegitimate and how inept Black men are. That's when it becomes a problem. So what I can appreciate about this content creator before I even play the video, one, she's being honest. She's standing up and she's owning it. She's saying, hey, world, I like white men. I prefer white guys. Thank you. Somebody said it. Thank you. Somebody's telling the truth. I can appreciate that. I don't see her saying nothing. I seen her saying nothing bad about Black men. And if her position is, I prefer white guys and that's it, okay, good for you. And I hope that works out. So let's hear what she has to say, and then we'll break it down. Shout out to you. The 2 says, productive Black men don't care. Just stop flexing on us. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, most Black men I know are not pressed. They see a Black woman with a breast, they really don't care. They really are not into the bed business of other dudes like that. It only becomes a problem when people use swirling or divesting as a reason to promote anti-Black misandry. That's when it's a problem. Shout out to you with the 2 in the super chat. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's see what she has to say. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just play it. I'm gonna just play it through once, and then I'll go back and play it and break it down. So just so you guys can kind of get the whole, just hear it in its entirety first.
Always had a preference for white guys. And I've actually always been like scared to tell people this, especially on dating sites. Like, when I get so many Black guys in my messages, it's mostly Black guys, but I really just want to put on my profile, like, I just prefer white guys. And I did that one time, but I feel so weird saying that out loud. Like, people will judge me for that, and I guess think that I'm like racist, but I'm not. It's just what I prefer, and I don't see what is so wrong with that. Like, why does it have to be something that, like, people need to get shamed for, that we have, like, a preference for a certain race? That's just the way I've always been. My very first crush, ever since I was 6 years old, was Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. And Titanic is my next favorite movie. So I've just always been like that. And then my very first, like, puppy love was this little white boy in my elementary class when I was like 6 or 7. And he showed up at my birthday party and he kissed me on my cheek. Yeah, he's married now. It's kind of weird to say, but yeah, he's married now. So he was like my first puppy love. That was so sweet. And I remember us like holding hands in elementary school. Yeah, he was a little sweetheart. But yeah, so that's just the way I've always been. I mean, I'm attracted to all races, but I do prefer white guys. And it just feels so weird to say that. Like, everyone kind of has always made me feel a little type of way. Like, a little ashamed of that fact, but it's like, it just is what it is. I don't really see anything wrong with this. Like, if someone has a preference for a certain race, what are we supposed to do? Just like settle for what we're not as attracted to?
That word
I
settle.
don't think that's a
That
good
word
solution.
settle.
So I'm not doing that. Like,
That word settle.
I'm going to just be with the people that I'm the most attracted to. So yeah, I'm not gonna let other people like make me feel so ashamed of that, or like, pressure me into something that's not me, or that isn't what I actually really want. So I've always had a preference for white guys.
Okay. So I want you guys to notice that settle. She said settle at the end. She's like, what am I supposed to do? Just settle for what I'm not attracted to? Now, listen, I don't know. I do not know who's pressuring her. I don't know. Maybe it's people in her family. Maybe it's Fred. I don't know. By and large, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but by and large, I think I could say majority of the Black male population really doesn't care. Legitimately. Couldn't care less, is not losing sleep, and is not trying to push you or really any Black woman per se to just stay with Black men. They're like, have fun. Do you, boo. Like, truly. Like, most Black men are not bending over backwards to try to save swirlers or aspiring swirlers. Like, they're really not. Most of them are just like, okay, that's cool. You stay over there, I stay over here. The issue really becomes if that is used as a way to promote self-hatred or to tear down the community or to tear down Black folks. That's really when the only time it becomes a problem. But if it's just somebody like this who's just like, I prefer white guys, and they're not, every 15 seconds trying to throw Black men under the bus, then nobody really cares. It's like, okay, whatever. Let me look at these comments real quick. It says, I knew this with it on mute. This one says, I knew this with it on mute. So he's saying, I could tell without you saying anything you were into white guys. That's what I'm saying. Y'all talking about there's this look. What is this look? This one right here, it says, she says, a diary, please. She says, this channel is partially a mental health diary. So she does spend, full disclosure, she does talk about her mental health journey on her TikTok. So yeah. So this one, we need to bring back writing in our personal journals. This one says, we believe you. You don't have to say anything more. Please don't say anything more. This one says, and she responds, make me haha, but also why? She's like, what's wrong with me saying what I'm saying? So this will honestly weird me. So I mean whatever the comments, I need to stop these comments. This one says, this video could have been about cooking, and I would have still guessed that. So these people are saying, you didn't have to come out and say that you were into white guys for us to know. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so. They're saying this a look. Oh my gosh. Well, let me say this, because there's definitely a look. Like, there's definitely a look that a Black man may have. Like, if someone is to assume that a Black man is into white girls, right? There's definitely this stereotypical look that Black women have in their mind, right? So I understand that can kind of go both ways. I just was like curious, like, okay, are we saying it's the hair, or what is it? The eyes? Is it the way the eyes just be looking, the way they land? You know what I mean? Like, what? Okay, so let me try to be serious. Okay, so I want to go back and I wanted to respond to a few things that she said. Again, what I appreciate about her is that she is being honest. She's sharing her truth. And I applaud that. I applaud anybody who's going to stand up here and just own it. What I don't like are covert swirlers. Covert swirlers are some of the most, they can be dangerous. The ones who stand up here and talk about they love these black kings, and I love you, black man, I love you, black man affirmations. Okay, but behind closed doors are really thirsting after Brad and are always comparing black men to Brad, or just have like deep misandry in their heart for black men, don't like black men. That's dangerous. So somebody who stands up and says, I date all races of men, but I prefer white men. Okay, I can respect that, because at least now if a man engages with her, they know what they're dealing with. So, okay, let me continue. Let me go back to see what she's saying.
So I've always had a preference for white guys. And I've actually always been like scared to tell people this, especially on dating sites. Like when I get so many black guys in my messages, it's mostly black guys, but I really just want to put on my profile like I just prefer white guys. And
okay, y'all heard what she said? She said, I get so many black guys in my dating profile, but I really just want to say I prefer white guys. Yeah. Did y'all hear that? She said, I get so many messages, because she's on a dating site. I get so many messages from black guys, but I really just want to tell them I'm into white guys. So translation, white men aren't hitting me up in that sense. Like, I want more white men to hit me up. And you know what's so interesting about what she's saying? How many reports have we heard? How many reports have we heard over the last few years of black women complaining about racism, complaining that the algorithm isn't working for them, complaining that they don't get attention on these dating sites, and that, you know what I mean, these systems they're better made for white women or Asian women, but they're overlooking black women. And so there's all this complaining and all this noise over how these dating profiles aren't working for them and how these dating profiles are racist. But you know what is not being mentioned is what the dating divide actually revealed. What the dating divide revealed this, because it looked specifically at online dating profiles. It said, it's not that these women aren't necessarily getting attention. It's who they're getting attention from. She literally said, I get messages from black men, but I really want messages from white men. That's literally what she's saying. That's what she's saying. And so now, anytime I hear a black woman who goes online and complains about racism on these dating apps, I'm like, okay, racism from who? Because black men are reaching out to you. Black men, and here's the thing about it. On any level, let me tell you, as a black woman, on any level, you can find a guy who's going to be interested. Because by and large, black men have some of the most lenient standards, literally. That's why, like, I cover off this stuff all the time. And I'm like, because the bar right now is to hell, it takes very little to stand out as a black woman. Like, just be nice. Literally, just be nice. Actually, like, treat a black man like he's a human being that actually has feelings and a point of view. And already right there, you've like you're standing out. That alone. Just by like just the most basic fundamental qualities, that right there is going to distinguish you from a lot of just the weird stuff we see going on today. Being a nice human being, smiling, you know what I mean? Like actually knowing how to cook a meal. Like just, we're talking about basic stuff. We're not talking about like rocket science. We're not talking about difficult things. We're talking about like basic human skills. What I'm trying to say is black men are the most body positive. This is not debatable. Black men are the most body positive. They will date. There's going to be a black man out there who will date a black woman at any size, literally. And we'll love her. We'll legitimately love her. Legitimately. Not be mad, support her in her diet, or maybe not support her to eating habit. There will be a black man out there who will be with a plus size, a morbidly obese woman, and will love her. That will happen. So black women really don't necessarily need to worry about weight like that. They really don't. Because they're there. And some of them really love it. The quote unquote chubby chasers, the one who fetishize. You're talking about black men, and you're talking about some Hispanic men. But a lot of black men in there. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So they're the most body positive. We already know black men, they're stepdaddy central. We already know that. And actually, I've seen a few posts recently a black woman going online and praising their stepdads. I saw one I did the other day. It was a black woman who was just like, she literally said to her now husband, she was like, I'm grateful for you because you basically saved me. She said when she met her husband, he had a program, he had a vision, and she just was kind of floating around. And she literally was just like, you saved me and my son, right? And so she had a whole video, and he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? He's laughing about it, but I'm like, so we know black men don't mind being stepdads. So they don't really care about your weight. They don't mind being stepdads. They hate weaves, but they put up with it. So I'm like, I guess what I'm trying to say is black men have some of the lowest standards. They really do. They have some of the lowest standards. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying like in the general population, like a woman can really find somebody on her level as far as like looks wise or whatever, looks wise, social white class. She can find somebody on her level. That's not a problem, particularly in the black community, just because the standards I think are so lenient. Just the challenge is women aren't necessarily interested. And I posted this. I want to look some of the feedback too. I posted this maybe a week or so ago, where I said the problem is actually. Let me pull this up real quick before I go back to this video, because this is another thing that I've noticed. I mean, look, Kevin Samuels I think made this crystal clear, and it just continues to be reaffirmed more and more and more again, right? Which is that, again, black women hate the idea of settling for an average black man. That right there seems like no deal. Being with an average man. Did you see right here one of the first things right here is Kevin Samuels. That's something he showed the whole world. That is something he showed the whole world, that like the issue that some ladies are facing is that they don't want to be with average black men. That's the challenge. So again, I'm going back to what she just said. Just 30 seconds into this video, she says, I have these black men are in my DMs. So she's getting attention, but they're not white. And now when I hear a report about black women complaining about not having dating options and not online and not having attention, I have to wonder, is it that they're not getting activity, or is it that they are unsatisfied, or they're upset that they're not getting activity from non-black men? What is it really? Okay, so let's go back to what she is saying. Like I said, the great thing about social media is that people come on and they share their truth, even if we don't necessarily need to be hearing it, but they share it. Okay, so why she's letting the whole world know why she prefers white guys.
I did that one time, but I feel so weird saying that out loud. Like, people will judge me for that, and I guess think that I'm like racist, but I'm not. It's just what I prefer, and I don't see what is so wrong with that. Like, why does it have to be something that like people need to get shamed for, that we have, you know, like a preference for a certain race? That's just the way I've always been.
Yeah, like I said, and you guys, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. I think by and large, black men don't care, and black women are going to support you because many of them want to swirl. So you saying you prefer white guys, you're not going to get stoned, and you're not going to be excommunicated. Actually, just based upon the comment section, people are just like, duh. And the sky is blue. Like, I mean, tell me something I don't know. Like, he said this when I knew this. Will it on mute? So I don't. And maybe the truth is she needed to say this for herself. I don't know. Maybe it's more like because sometimes when somebody feels ashamed about something or they feel embarrassed, they might put more on it than it actually is. And, you know, she's very open about her mental health challenges or her mental health journey. And so maybe this is something that she needed to say for herself so that she put it out there and she felt relieved from it. But I think by and large, black men don't really care as long as you don't use it as a means to try to promote, you know, anti-black misandry. Like, nobody cares. And a lot of black women are going to support you on this journey. So to me, and the sky is blue, right? Like I said, you like white guys. Okay. Water was wet. The sky is blue. Like, tell me something that I do not know. Okay, let's continue.
My very first crush, ever since I was 6 years old, was Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. And Titanic is my next favorite movie. So I've just always been like that. And then my very first like puppy love was this little white boy in my elementary class when I was like 6 or 7. And he showed up at my birthday party and he kissed me on my cheek. Yeah, he's married now. It's kind of weird to say, but yeah, he's married now. So he was like my first puppy love. That was so sweet. And I remember us like holding hands in elementary school. Yeah, he was a little sweetheart. But yeah, so that's just the way I've always been. I mean, I'm attracted to all races, but I do prefer white guys. And it just feels so weird to say that. Like, everyone kind of has always made me feel a little type of way, like a little ashamed of that fact. But it's like, you know, it just is what it is. I don't really see anything wrong with this. Like, you know, if someone has a preference for a certain race, what are we supposed to do? Just like settle for what we're not as attracted to?
So there, black woman hate the idea of settling. It's like World War III. It's like the rapture has come. It's like the world has ended. If somebody has to settle, I'm like, what is it? What is it about the idea of settling that seems like so earth-shattering to these ladies? I mean, I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive on that, but that's the whole other thing that I've really been thinking about lately. Like, what about settling is so horrible? I mean, people do it all the time, but we live in this culture now where it's like the more relationship, or it's like the more toxic relationships a woman has, actually, the less likely she is to want to settle. I see this all the time. Women hit a certain age and they're like, okay, I've been on the self-love journey. You know, she didn't have 3 kids. She didn't have, you know, four baby daddies. I got the math, but you know what I mean? Y'all bear with me. She just had this whole long line of just toxic breakups. And it's just a mess. And instead of that being a reason to maybe be humbled or to say, okay, maybe I need to adjust my standards and make it more realistic and also more healthy. No, she'll use all of those toxic dating experiences and all those toxic baby drama to now raise her standards even higher. And so there's something about this idea of settling that is just, it just seems like it is a prison sentence to some of these ladies, which is partially why, I think is actually partially why now you're seeing ladies choose the van life and live in their car instead of doing the whole, I don't want to say pick me route, but going the whole traditional route of just like, okay, maybe I need to rethink this whole thing. Maybe having a family and learning how to get to cooperate with a man isn't so bad. No, I think we're seeing a resurgence of van life because, again, ladies are more, I think, programmed and more prepared to be homeless than they are at being a housewife. And it goes back to this idea of like, I don't want to settle. And I'm like, what is so bad about settling? Because water seeks its own level. What is so bad about being with a man who is on your level? That's what's, to me, is, I still can't say I've gotten to the core, to the root of that. Okay, let's try to get through this video and then I'll move on because there's more, guys. There's more. Okay. Wait, let me remove this. Okay.
I don't think that that's a good solution. So I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to just be with the people that I'm the most attracted to.
She's not going to settle. She's not.
So yeah.
Black woman. She ain't going to settle. And there's probably going to be somebody in there and say, yeah, girl, you do you don't settle. Hold on to your dreams, boo.
I'm not going to let other people like make me feel so ashamed of that, or like, you know, pressure me into something that's not me, or that isn't what I actually really want. So I've always had a preference for
Okay. So again, I hate because it's like I always want to say this is not all black women, right? I always want to say this is not all black women, but as I've said before, the challenge or the pushback that I get is a lot of men are going to say, okay, prove it. You want to sit here and tell me this is not all black women. Can y'all tell me where are these ladies at when we see all this other toxic stuff going online and don't nobody have nothing to say? Because black women know how to make a fuss and they know how to make the world know when they are not happy about something. So we need more black women to stand up and let the world know that they're not walking with anti-black misandry anymore. We need more black women to stand up and say that they are supporting their men. We need more black women to stand up and start pushing back against this toxic man-hating narrative that we see being promoted in the media. Like, we need to see black women support the black women political agenda, or at the very least familiarize themselves with it. Like, we need to see tangible actions before we can actually sit here and say, okay, this is not all black women. So, and this is the issue I have, because it's like I can speak to my anecdotal experience. I can speak to the people I know here and there in my circle, and I can say, okay, well, I don't represent all black, not all black women are like this, not all black women are A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. But I understand that when there's not an equal amount of pushback and it's not made crystal clear that there is a big difference, then men are oftentimes left to come to the conclusion that by nature of y'all being silent on some of these really damaging messages, it's because you're in agreement with it. So again, I'm saying this because I'm like, she's just speaking for herself. She's speaking for herself. And I appreciate her for standing up and being honest. That's why I'm like, I don't have necessarily anything negative to say about her. She's just sharing her truth. And she didn't say nothing negative about black men per se. So I'm like, girl, hold your truth. I saw one of y'all in the comment section being like, we should help her get a white guy. Yeah. Hopefully that works out for her. She's not going to settle. Nobody's telling her she has to settle. Hey, go for what works for you. Nobody really cares. They only care if you use it as a reason to promote hatred, right? Raccooning, all that stuff. Okay, real quick, I want to acknowledge some of the super chats and then I'm going to move on to the next one. Shout out to you with the 18th letter. So good to see you as always. Pop through. Appreciate you. This one says she just want to make black men jealous. Okay, y'all asking like, why is she saying this? You're like, what is the point, right? My thought, and again, this is just my assumption. Only she really knows. But my thought coming from the perspective of a woman is that like, it was for herself. To maybe make herself feel better. Maybe if she was feeling shamed about it for whatever reason, that would be my thought. Again, I don't, you never really fully know, but I think when ladies do this stuff, it's more for them. Now, some ladies just want attention. There are some ladies that go online and just say all kind of weird stuff simply because they want attention, because attention is somewhat of a currency. So some ladies just say that, but when it comes to things like this, and she's saying, I don't want to be shamed, I don't want to see, this and that, I'm like, trust me, like, black men don't really care. And black women are going to support you. So I don't, maybe you have people here and there in your community. Maybe you have family and friends, but by and large, like, no one's going to stone you for liking white dudes. So I don't know I'm curious where the shaming is coming from. And because of that, it causes me to believe that, yeah, this might just be something that she needed to say to get off her chest, or maybe attention, or maybe both, maybe to spark a conversation. People do all kinds of stuff on social media for all kinds of weird reasons. This one here, it says, even Pookies don't care. For her to get up and bash all black men, including the productive black men, is nonsensical. Date whomever and leave us productive black men alone. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody really cares. Just do you, boo. Like, and that's the thing about it. Like, if you're really happy in your relationship with your white king or whoever, right? Because I see you see these spoilers say black women love to rebrand stuff. Black women are always branding something. That's one thing I feel like is just innate. Black women are great branders, for better or for worse. Okay. So they're always putting these hashtags and things on getting with their white man. So I'm like, okay, you want to be with your white king? That's cool. Just keep black men out your mouth. That's all. Just stay over there. And if you're really happy, like, you shouldn't really care what these other men are doing that you're not interested in, supposedly. So shout out to Malarkey with the 15. It says this light-skinned woman is simply creating a psychological diversion from the fact most black men simply do not find her attractive facially or physically. Most men don't, sadly, despite her preference. Thank you so much for the 15. Well, here's the thing. She has a video where I'm going to show, I wanted to show you guys this next one. It's not my place to sit here and comment on her looks. That's not, what I'm here to do. I, more than anything, wanted to comment on, let me see. What did she had to say in her experience? Because I think she is at least being honest. Now, the fascinating thing about what the video that I just showed you is she decided to follow this up with why she likes black men. And so when, when I talked about I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. You remember when I talked about the pro-black swirlers? The reach, the reach back. Oh my gosh. You're saying the reach back. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep a straight face. When I saw this, I LOL'd for I think 2-3 minutes straight because I'm like, wait, so we really just saw a whole video. We really just saw a whole video on why you like what, which is cool. But then literally a few weeks later, so now we're talking about why we like black men. And it goes back to the reason, okay, so why? Wait, what? And you guys are saying reach back. And some of you are saying, okay, reach back. You're like, wait, what? So, and again, this was so fascinating to me because, so I think there are a lot of women who actually, I think really they think like her. She's just actually being bold enough to say it. And there's certainly a lot of black women at the very least who they move like this. They do prefer white men. But if or when that doesn't work out, then they'll put on the pro-black hat. Then they'll get in the FBA movement, they'll do the FBA, or they'll be, Dr. Umaring, or they'll do pro-black, whatever. They'll put on the black power. They'll do all that stuff. They'll put on their ancestral clothing and hoops and ankh earrings after it didn't work out with bread. So I'm like, I saw this because I'm like, this is fascinating. It's fascinating to me just simply because I've seen this behavior before. Now she's being really open and upfront about it, and so I can respect that. I can. Now I understand in the dating market, as far as men are concerned, looks are very important. This goes without saying. Looks, what is it? Height, weight, dress size. Okay, a person's face, how they look without makeup, all of that. And of course, beauty is subjective to a certain extent, but then there's just certain things that are across the board, irregardless. So I understand that plays a huge role when it comes to the ability for a woman to date out or an ability for a woman to get attraction. I'm not here to rate women. That's not my point. But I did want to, again, go over this content because I thought the way she's moving is very much how we've seen black women move this way. I'm sure many of you guys have seen pro-black swirlers, pro-black divestors, all of that. So real quick, I'm gonna go on a quick break, and then I want to go over why she likes black men, and then we're gonna look real briefly over why is it that black women just don't want to settle for average black men, particularly average black men, because I think there's a good portion of black women who would be okay settling with average white men if they were given the chance. Truly, I truly believe the very same women who are not willing to settle for an average black man would gladly settle for an average white man if they had the chance. I think the challenge is they don't have the chance. Okay, so let me, for those of you guys who are just joining, giving you guys a little backdrop.
So I've always had a preference for white guys.
We just reviewed, We just reviewed this video, this content creator who was breaking down why she has a preference for white guys, right? So we reviewed that. And now, a few weeks later, she decided to drop a video on why she likes black men. So that's what we're going to be looking at now. This content creator, you said notice the hair change. Sorry.
to me was, I don't know what about this whole conversation was hilarious to me. I don't know if it was because I saw like just how soon things happen. But okay, before I continue laughing, let's hear what she has to say, and then y'all, I can't. Okay, I need to play this. Let me play this. Okay.
I like Black men. So reasons why I like Black men.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna play this straight through like I did the first time. I'll play it straight through so you guys can hear the whole thing, and then I'll go back and add a little bit of my commentary. Oops.
Hey guys.
Okay, and this
So
I didn't mean to share this, but this is a video where she talks about all the things that she has been diagnosed with, and her mental health journey. So that's not what we're reviewing today, but that is available for anybody who wants to check out her mental health journey.
So reasons why I like Black men. Because, well, mostly because they happen to usually have a bigger than white men typically. So that is the number one reason why I mess with Black men. But other than that, I do really admire
Oh my god.
Black men's is like when they have like the really clean cut like beards, like the sharp lines on the cheeks, and like when they have like really cool hair, like especially if it's like kind of unique, or like when it really suits their face, or like when they have like really cute designs, like the cutout on their hair. I like that a lot. And I love when Black guys have like a really cool fashion sense. Like, you know, I just really like whenever I like how they tend to dress, I feel like, more boldly than a lot of white guys do in general. Like they tend to wear a lot more colors in general, and go for a lot more bolder looks in general. I mean, I don't see this kind of fashion a lot in real life, but like, for example, I guess like Kanye, ASAP Rocky, Offset, people like rappers like that, I guess. Like, I like how they tend to dress a lot more boldly than a lot of other white celebrities, white men I see who are celebrities. So I really admire
Oh my god.
that kind of like the bold fashion looks that they're not afraid to go for that. I think that's really badass. So yeah, I mean, I date Black guys too. I'm attracted to Black guys too, guys. I'm attracted to all races. I just prefer white men, but I'm gonna give Black men their flowers now, because especially y'all be packing them. So, I mean, y'all, I gotta. All right. I love you guys. Bye. So reasons why
Okay.
I like Black men.
Let me see if I can go. Right.
Because
Okay, so oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that to be so. Oh, okay. We talked about the reach back a few days ago. I don't know if that was a reach back. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know why people do what they do. I just don't know. She is very open about her mental health journey. The video that I kind of stumbled upon, she talked about some of the different diagnoses that she's had
I don't know if she's working through them now or it's still so I don't know. But really, why I wanted to cover this video off is because she's saying out loud what I think some ladies and what some Black women I think actually believe about Black men. And I can get pushback and people say, oh, it's not true. That's not fair. You know, we can all talk about anecdotal experience, but we have to look at the current climate and we have to look at what is going on now. And the fact that there's a reason that swirling is really popular. There's a reason divesting is popular. There's a reason there's a market for it. So I think she's saying out loud what women actually believe. And what's so fascinating about what she said here, I'm going to go and break it down, is notice how everything that she mentioned with respect to Black men and Black masculinity had everything to do with like the exterior. None of it was like substantial. None of it had anything to do with, you know, the just who they are, the character, the quote, nothing. It was like, oh, they have a big, I mean, I'm gonna play it again, but just from what we heard, there was not one thing that I heard that actually speaks to maybe the intangible qualities or the essence of who Black men are. It's just, oh, I like when they look like Kanye West. Okay. Like that isn't something I would expect a white person to say, like literally. And you know, she did mention in her video that she was very honest about struggling with internalized racism and struggling with colorism and working through those ideas. And she's like, I can acknowledge that this is something that I had growing up. So, you know, that makes me wonder, like, okay, did you grow up in an all-white community? Did you grow up around primarily white people? Did you get your ideas about Black people from white people? You know, and so it begs me to question a lot. Are you mixed? You know, are you mixed and perhaps you're raised by a white parent, Black person there? So there's so much to this, but even when we think about Black masculinity, even sometimes Black women can have these fetishized views about what Black men are, not even necessarily knowing it, not even fully being aware. But again, that's why I wanted to review what she's saying. I'm like, I think she's saying out loud things that many ladies believe. I can't say what percentage. I can't say, oh, I don't know. But she's being honest about it. Okay, let's I want to bring this back up again. I have to remove this. Okay, sorry, real quick.
Especially on dating sites.
Actually, no, that's the wrong one. This is the one. This is the one. Okay, I'm gonna just break down briefly, and then I'll go into some of the comments.
So reasons why I like Black men, because
just look at these comments. Right, we don't need these.
Mostly because they happen to usually have a bigger.
These comments are not right.
than white men, typically. So that is the number one reason why I mess with Black men. But other than that, I do really admire Black men's is like when they have like the really clean cut like beards, like the sharp lines.
Yeah, so this whole video, she's pretty much going to just break down the physical attributes she likes. The kind of beard, how they show up, the way they dress, BBC. Yes, that's pretty much it. And you know, the thing that's really fascinating about this video to me is that this is coming from a Black woman. This is coming from a Black woman who actually says that she dates men of all races. She went on to, you know, she started off as saying she has a preference for white men. Now she's saying, hey, I like Black men too. Here's what I like about Black men. But it's so intriguing to me that as a Black woman, the ideas of Black masculinity that she has can definitely be linked to some very racialized views about what Black men are coming from a Black woman. That's what's so interesting. And again, like I said, there's a lot that we don't know. Like I said, she could be mixed. Is she mixed? Does she have a white parent she's raised by that could is daddy not there? Like there's a lot. Did she grow up in a white environment and was influenced by white culture? It would seem that way, particularly when I see a a black girl that says, you know, her earliest crush was a white boy. This is not like, I tend to think, okay, maybe you grew up around white people primarily, and that's what you saw as normal. I don't, but again, I don't know. These are questions that I have, but we're seeing this not from like some random, you know, white chick who has a thing for black dudes, but from a black woman, and that's what's so crazy to me.
On the cheeks, and like when they have like really cool hair, like especially if it's like kind of unique, or like when it really suits their face, or like when they have like really cute designs, like the cutout on their hair. I like that a lot. And I love when black guys have like a really cool fashion sense. Like, you know, I just really like whenever I like how they tend to dress, I feel like, more boldly than a lot of white guys do in general. Like they tend to wear a lot more colors in general, and go for a lot more bolder looks in general. I mean, I don't see this kind of fashion a lot in real life, but like, for example, I guess like Kanye, ASAP Rocky, Offset, people like rappers like that.
Again, she is saying out loud what I believe many black women actually believe. We've seen this with Pop the Balloon. When we see these, you know, educated, even handsome, good-looking black men who appear very clean-cut walk in, and they get no love. And you listen to the reasons, and it's like, oh, because I don't like the color of her shirt, or I don't know, his hair is just not curly enough, or I don't know, just something about him. We just seem like we'd be friends. Like, so there's these really superficial, highly vague reasons as to why these what seem to be really clean-cut, stable guys can't even go on a freaking date with these ladies, but then have a dude walk out with some tattoos, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we're interested. Let him have a little bit of an urban accent or whatever. Let him come dress a particular way, and then there's more interest. And so, again, she's saying out loud what I think a lot of ladies actually believe. Going back to my original question, like, okay, so are some of these black ladies settling because, you know, she's telling the whole world what she thinks, but here's the thing about it. I mean, in the comment section alone, now you're gonna have some dudes where it's just like, we don't, please stay over there. You don't have some guys who are just like, please stay over there. But you're still gonna have black men who are just like, oh yeah, we appreciate you, sis. You know what I mean? We love you, right? This one right here, like, we like you too. You know, this is great, hun. Hello, love. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, so you're gonna have, even with that, you're going to have some men out there who are like, you are welcome here and we love you and we will take you. And yes, like they're going to, from y'all are saying this is a reach back, but you're going to have men who are still going to support her. But listen, I'm saying, it's like, there's these examples that I see. And it's showing me that even within the black community, even black women can be very, very, very quick to fetishize. It's hard for me to say that word sometimes. Black men. It happens. And it goes back to, I mean, there's so much miseducation and misunderstanding. But like I said, she's saying openly what people think in their own thoughts.
I guess, like, I like how they tend to dress a lot more boldly than a lot of other white celebrities, white men I see who are celebrities. So I really admire that kind of like the bold fashion looks that they're not afraid to go for that. I think that's really badass. So yeah, I mean, I date black guys too. I'm attracted to black guys too, guys. I'm attracted to all races. I just prefer white men, but I'm gonna give black men their flowers now, because especially y'all be packing. So, I mean, y'all, I gotta. All right. I love you guys. Bye. So reasons why
Okay, so
I like black
that's what we have on that one. Like I said, she's saying out loud what I think some ladies be actually believing in their heart. That's why I wanted to review her. She stood up there and says, "Listen, I have a preference for white guys, and I'm not ashamed. I don't want to feel ashamed of it." Then she said, "Well, I'm cool with black men too because they, you know, they got big. Ha ha ha, he kiki. So I'm gonna give black men their flowers, but I really want to be with Brad." And then she went on to talk about how, you know, black men are in her DMs of these dating websites, but she still want to be with Brad. So that's what I'm saying. Like, are black women settling for black men? Like, is that what's going on? And again, because some of y'all gonna be like, not all, not all, not all. And I get it. I'm right there with you. Right? I want to sit there and say, oh, this ain't all black women. There's still good black women. Like, I want to say that. And I can speak in my own experience, right? I can use anecdotal, whatever, but what I'm trying to articulate is, you know, when there's silence on these things and there's not like an aggressive pushback to distinguish for black women to distinguish themselves from some of the effery that's going around, then these bad ideas are able to persist. They're able to persist. That's the challenge that we have. So, okay, real quick. So I'm going to go on a quick break again, and then I'm going to bring up real briefly some of your guys' feedback, and then we will go from there. Okay, so let's real briefly, going back to my tweet. Wait, if I can find it. Oh, this one I said, where a lot of black women hate the idea of settling for an average black man, right? This is one that I posted a few days ago. I want to look at some of the feedback. Got some pretty good traction. This one right here, Afrofuturist says, the problem is that these women don't understand that they're extremely average themselves. Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. So, okay, on this whole idea of settling, right? What am I supposed to do? Settle for someone I'm not attracted to? And so now the assumption behind that is that you're in the choosing position, that you're the one calling the shots. To a certain extent, yes, women do have the ability to, you know, they can say yes or they can say no. But on some level, like, women are waiting to be chosen. So oftentimes when women are complaining about a lack of good options, there can be a few things at work, but I think many of the things can come down to, like, okay, lack of options. Well, how are you showing up in the dating market? I mean, like I said, water seeks its own level, that like attracts like. So how are you showing up in the dating market? And if you're only attracting a particular kind of man or a particular kind of person, it cannot always be the fault of, oh, these men just don't want to commit. Like, at some point, there has to be a level of self-reflection. So I think he makes a good point. It was like the challenge with these ladies are not wanting to settling for averages is because they're not an acceptance of the fact that they themselves are average. And listen, average is not a bad thing. That's not an insult. The world has ran off of average people for thousands and thousands of years. So I don't know when becoming average become an insult or a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being average. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Again, the world lives and exists and persists off of average people. Not a bad thing. But for some reason, that can be seen as an insult. And I don't know, it's because we live in a society where, like, okay, everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame. Or I don't know. But I think he made a good point. Yeah, this one says a lot believe they aren't average themselves or below average. It's an interesting thing to observe. So this person again being like, that's because these ladies are not in acceptance of who they are. Yeah, this one, some people don't know they're average, right? So the first thing ones are just like, y'all are, do you understand that you're average? This one here, okay, the blue collar, he just posted something. This one says a lot of Black men and women think their partners need to be exceptional if they're Black too. Truth is, many of us are average. They settle for average when they date out, though. Right, this part. I mean, listen. If more average white men were reaching out in numbers to Black women, then I think there'd be more interracial marriage. Like, I think, generally speaking, I do think there's more acceptance and leniency on dating out. And there's a lot more acceptance and leniency with respect, like when it comes to the dating standards, the expectations that ladies have. That's the first video that I showed you guys. The first video I showed you guys was that Black man who was being like, man, I noticed this. It seems like Black women in America, they have 1,000,001 expectations for these Black men, but let it be an average white dude that shows up and those expectations go out the door. All he has to do is show up. And then my white friend, who I interviewed a little while back on camera, got her saying, yes, white men just got to show up. Average white men pick winners. She said this out of her own mouth. She said this out of her own mouth. So, okay. Let's see. Right here it says, because they have been taught an unrealistic expectation of life. Okay, so that makes sense. I was thinking about doing a whole, covering this off, like looking at TikTok relationships versus reality, because I get really annoyed at some of these TikTok accounts, not like for the content creators themselves, but the value that's assigned to them. Like if everyone knew, okay, we're going on TikTok and like we're just seeing skits and like this is just skits, then that's no problem. But I think what happens is you have a lot of particularly young, just ignorant minded girls who don't know no better, who go online and they really start to fantasize about how their life is supposed to be using TikTok. Really using TikTok, which is why they're so popular. And the challenge with that is that's not real life. And even if they sit here and say, oh no, we know that social media, we don't use that to influence us. Even if they say that, the actions, don't listen to what is said, watch the actions. The actions speak to something a lot differently. Oh, this one says, okay, it's only because the devil done told some of them, help me is to help you spend your money, when God's help me is the woman that helped you make some money. That's hilarious. Yeah, so we had another so Kevin Sam is showing up again because, like I said, he helped show the whole world saw how average women were not wanting to settle for average men, which is crazy. And even in the video that I just showed y'all, notice how she was like, what am I supposed to do? Settle? Like that's a freaking, like a death sentence. Right? And this one says when they themselves are below average. I hate the idea of settling. He added, he was like a lot of average. Well, you know why average? Because I mean, well, honestly, your average Black woman is overweight. Sometimes people will get at me. I saw somebody today in my comment section about an AI image I created, and she was like, "Why you got an AI image? Why you got an image of a Black woman like that?" And I'm like, "Well, do you know that your average Black woman is actually overweight? Like when you see AI, they be putting the best. They put the best of all cultures out there. You put in, okay, create me a photorealistic version of an Asian woman. It's going to be some beautiful top model. Okay, create a photorealistic image of a Black woman. It's going to be some beautiful top model. So AI, they're going to push the best out there of humanity. But the reality is, yeah, your average Black woman in America is overweight. Majority of them are obese, to my understanding. And I know some of y'all want to get on here about the BMI and talk about, well, this is the white man standard, et cetera, et cetera. But if we look at the leading causes of death among Black women, the leading premature causes of death among Black women, they're actually health related. So your average Black woman is overweight. And I guess basically, if you want to use that metric, it's like, okay, well, yeah. And here's the thing. There are plenty of black men who are cool with that. Now, some of y'all like Game Changer. I know you don't. I know I'm seeing you in there. What's up, Game Changer? I know you don't mess. You do not mess with no. There are black men out there who are like, I am not. He said, BMI black men have to stop. He said, BMI black men. You're like, I do not mess with the plus size. So I know there's some of y'all out there who can't. You're like, no, absolutely no way. But by and large, there are plenty of black men out there who are happy, who are okay with plus size overweight black women because that's what they have to choose from. And as long like many is like, look, as long as the breast is there, the curves are there, it's the fat falls in the right place, like they're not tripping, especially if she's bringing those other qualities. So yeah, your average black woman is plus size, and dudes ain't not really tripping over that. So y'all get it. Y'all get the y'all understand what's going on here. He says, dear men, the longest marriages are with average men. I don't really think. I agree with him. Now, you might have a man here and there that has unrealistic standards. You here or there. I know one guy in my own life personally who was like that. But by and large, I think when we're talking unrealistic standards, I think that's something women struggle with more because women aren't faced with rejection as much as men are. Because generally, like if we are thinking about just the expectations in a relationship are still on men. They're still on men. Men are the ones who are supposed to respond. They're the ones who are supposed to, they're the ones who are supposed to ask. They're the ones who are supposed to propose. Like, even when this whole supposed, gender bending, everybody's equal, like the expectation is still on the man to be the man. So I think because of that, men, they face rejection a lot earlier and they face rejection a lot more. So I think men generally know where they rank sooner. Whereas women are not used to rejection. We're just not. So I think because of that, there can be maybe more room for fantasy on where a woman or who a woman thinks she is versus where she actually ranks. So yeah, so that's what I got. So let's see where we're at. You guys, if you help me reach my goal, then I'll open up the call line. If I get a little more love on the Cash App or Super Chat, I'll open up the call line. Otherwise, I'll call it quits for the day because I have a million and one other things to do. So I'll go on a quick break. And you guys let me know what you want. If you want to call in, if you want to do that, or if you're just chilling. All right, let's okay. Okay, so it looks like we're wrapping this up. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Yeah, if you guys are joining in a little late, you can go back and catch the replay. I reviewed like quite a bit of comment. Wait, what's going on? You said link, please. Oh, we got Game Changer. Jermaine, you guys are a little. Okay, see, Jermaine, you're supporting me. Yeah, a little short. Okay, let me do this. I'll let Game Changer and Jermaine, you guys want to hop in for a few minutes. I'll let you guys call him because he's supported. If you guys want me to open up the call line to everybody, help me reach my goal. But at Game Changer and this Jermaine's fault, I'll let you guys hop in just for a few minutes. I know you guys showed some love, so I'll treat you right. Game Changer, and it is always Jermaine's fault. Okay. So you guys can call in for a little bit. I'm gonna keep this brief because I'm getting hungry. I worked out right before I hopped in this live, and then I haven't had a chance to really eat yet. So I'm like starting to wilt. But yeah, you guys let me know. I mean, the topic: do black women want to settle for black men? Okay.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm on a laptop. It makes a whole bunch of noise. I just noticed that when I listened to the last live. I personally don't want to be settled for. So when I hear them talk about they don't want to settle, even if they're saying I don't want to settle for a black man, I respect it. I kind of appreciate it because it's like you're kind of eliminating. I wish I could say you are eliminating yourself, but they always come back. But you're in a sense eliminating yourself from me. You know, you're like, right. I'm not going to be the one you settle for. And you eliminate, like me personally, like my goal or what I want out of a woman is I want a woman who's a virgin, who's beautiful, right?
Right.
But I don't call it settling. I say it like I love black women, so I'll find something else in you to love, right? Because I don't think there's a lot of black female virgins, right? So I'll kind of
in churches. I know a few. They're hiding in like churches somewhere not on social media. Hard to come by.
I'll take your word for it, but
I know too.
So when I think about it, like man, what was I gonna say? Yeah, like I was saying, I really don't want to be settled for, and I think women. This is what I was gonna say. I think women who really love a certain type of man will accept or not even really care much about the standards they have. Like if a woman likes a Pookie, right, she will have no standards for him. She ain't got to go to the movies. He could take her to McDonald's.
That's true. That's true.
And I think it's the same thing with black women when it comes to white men. A lot of them, they don't care about their income too much. They don't care. It's just a white man. And you can see it, like Rachel Lindsay, she during the Bachelorette, she got with a white guy, right? He won or whatever. She chose him, and he was broke, and now he's getting alimony from her. Same thing with what's this lady's name from Sonic? Oh, okay, Tika Sumpter. Tika Sumpter, she married a broke white man. She knew he was broke, and how you know it's black? A lot of black women agree with that. Is they didn't make us think about it online. Like, they made us think about the gymnast husband, right? Because he made a little bit less money, right? The sprinter from that same Olympics last year.
You're talking about, was it Gabby? Because I know you're talking about Simone Biles. She's always having to
Simone Biles, yeah.
It's so annoying. I'm like, they're such a cute couple. They're such a cute couple, and she's always having to defend her husband. They're always being hella disrespectful. But then you're talking about, I think her name is Gabby. Well, there's that one black girl who's with the dude that doesn't have any legs.
And I was just about to mention her. He doesn't have any legs, and
I'm not tripping. Like,
And
hey, they love each other. It's okay.
I'm not making a joke when I say this, but he doesn't have any legs, and she still chased him. You know what I'm saying?
No, she doesn't.
So it's not a joke. I'm not being insensitive. It's the same thing. She drove miles to come see him. She did the initial thing, all of that stuff. Same story with Simone Biles. They love that relationship.
They do.
Serena Williams, I said this many times, her husband to be at the time watched her get robbed, right? At the dinner table. A robber stole her phone, ran out the store. She ran after him and got her phone back. Black women said nothing about it. So settling for white men is fine with black women, in my opinion, because I believe people tell you who they are, right? So I think this girl on screen, unlike most men, I find her cute. I think she has a certain love for white men where she would settle for them. And when it comes to black men, they gotta have the baby on. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll date black men, but that's not what she's looking for. And I think a lot of black women feel that way. And if I combine what the studies say and all that stuff like that, I just think black women love white men. I think it has something to do with the Disney Channel and Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake. I think their first loves are always white guys, like the girl was saying, and it carries out through their lives. I think that's a lot of black women feel that way.
That's why I wanted to review her, because I was like, she's saying out loud what I think a lot of women believe internally. So that's why I was like, you know what? I appreciate her because she's not over here bashing black men. Now, everything she said about black men was completely like racialized, completely. But nevertheless, I'm like, okay, you're telling us how you feel. And again, you're saying out loud what many women agree with. And the reason I know this is because we just have to look at the actions. You can have ladies be like, oh, this is just her. I love my black king, and do all the different performative stuff, right? But watch the actions. Game changer, what do you want to say?
Okay, I think that is I have to respectfully disagree with that. Shay, I don't think that because you are a woman who is forthcoming, and you have lost touch with the deceptive nature of women. She doesn't really fetishize white men the way that she would like for us to believe. You see, first and foremost, we can never forget, and I know you want to ignore that for the sake of being polite, but let's address the elephant in the woman. She's fat. She's fat. And therefore, her world perception isn't going to be the same as yours. It's going to be from the perception of a fat woman. And as such, the concept of her getting with a man with any type of standards or self-value is not feasible. So what she has to do in order to get with a decent black man is to get with one with diminished sense of self-value. So she's never going to go in and say, oh, I love black guys. I love this, because that would boost his ego. And men with any type of ego, read self-respect or self-esteem, wouldn't be with a fat broad like this. And she knows it. She knows it. That's why her mating strategy is, oh, yes, I like Brad. Why do y'all hate me for liking Brad? I like Brad. Even though Brad isn't here, I just like him. Oh, by the way, I'll take applications from black men too. No, you do not deserve an application because you're fat, except from Jermaine. Understand this. You do not deserve average black men. No, because he says he likes. And
I didn't say I like her. I said she's attractive.
She manipulated. No, I said that's what I'm saying. There are black men out here. Yeah, there are black men out here.
No,
that's what I'm saying. Real quick, and I'll let you finish, Game Changer. Because I know, like I said, we already know you're very clear about your standards. But I'm like,
yes,
we can debate, here till tomorrow. There's a black man who's going to be a black woman on every level. We can debate, I'm not going to sit here and rate a woman. That's just not me. But I'm just saying, like, every black woman is going to find a black man that's going to find her attractive on any level.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, the reason for that, Shay Sade, isn't because, it's because black men's standards are trash. And the reason why their standards are trash is because it's not just her that's trying to pull this crap. Black men have been taught to diminish their standards since they were little boys, since they were babies. Like when I learned to walk, a black woman said, "Don't think that you too tall to be with a black woman." They say stuff like that from the beginning. They diminish your standards from the beginning. They try to make you feel that you're worthless. They call you boy until you're 27 years old. They want you to feel like nothing because that's the only people that would give. And for some men, it works. That's why you have these relationships where guys, where the black men are significantly more handsome than the black woman is pretty. This is commonplace in these, super pro-black relationships. I'm not saying that the tactics don't work. It works. That's why Jermaine thinks she's cute. It works. But the truth of the matter is, it is a tactic. It's witchcraft is what they're doing. And because such a large number of women are doing it, black men have learned to fall for it, but not I. Why? Because I come from a different time. And I know that you are diminished. We see, fellas, you must understand that I am in my 40s, and we used to have movies like Friday. There was a character Shanae on Martin. They used to be made fun of and reminded that they are less than. Yeah. But now they flipped the script and they made you think that you are less than, and the only woman that you deserve is this one right here. But no, you deserve better. And she got all kind of brain damage. Nope. You deserve better than this.
I want to make sure Oh, Jermaine, were you trying to say something?
I just want to say she's cute because she's kind of my type. It's not the weight. Like, I don't find Young Miami attractive, right? I have a type. I have a nerdy, eloquent speech type. You know what I mean? A lot of guys think Young Miami is attractive. I get it. But that's just not my type, right? I'm not saying she's the greatest looking woman in the world. I just think she's cute.
No, she's not.
What you guys say?
You guys, listen.
When a woman's fat,
you guys can go. You guys, because I know you might follow this up. You guys can go and debate if she's an 8, 9. I'm not here to debate a woman's. I don't know. Maybe there's just something ingrained in me as a woman that just feels like I shouldn't be sitting here rating a woman. Like, I don't know. But I wanted to make sure I understood where you were coming from, Game Changer, because it was really interesting. I think what you were saying as far as a dating strategy or a mating strategy is that what women will do is that they will try to tear down the confidence and the psychology of Black men so that they are conditioned to accept lower than what they actually can get in the dating market. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Yes.
That's a really interesting one. So that's what you're saying. You're like, okay, I don't agree, because you have to also deal with the deceptive nature that exists in women, and that's true. I mean, I can't deny deceit is definitely something that happens. So
yeah, that's what it is. It's all a big deceit. Like, think about it like this, Shay. If you were to buy a used car and you don't have no money, are you going to go to the person that you're buying the car from and tell them how valuable the car is? Or are you going to downplay it? Like, oh man, this car got dents and chinks and stuff, even when it don't, it's like, oh wait, and you're just like looking for the smallest crack underneath the leather or some crap like that. They're trying to get you to undervalue yourself so they could get you at a discount.
Interesting.
They don't want you to know your worth as Black men. And it's unfortunate because this is passed down from mother to son. That's why so many Black men are with these fat women. It is passed down from mothers to son. They tell you that you're worthless and you should be with a woman who is worth less than a regular woman. But you're not. You're not. You are the thing that she described in the second video, and you should hold your head up high and you should hold your six-pack in and stay the F away from her. And furthermore, Jermaine, the reason why she says stuff like, oh, I like them nerdy and quirky and articulate. Every woman with a 3-digit IQ is articulate. The reason why, it's so rare and valuable to you is because they created a community where basic speech pattern is a plus. You don't get pluses for basic stuff. You don't. And all big women are disqualified. They're not women, and they don't deserve our love or respect. They don't.
Brother Cole.
Yeah, you're pretty cool. I mean, listen, I can say, first of all, that's a really interesting game changer. That's a really interesting perspective. And now maybe it's because I happen to come from a family who's struggled with weight, and so I'm never going to say, "Oh, a big woman doesn't deserve love." Like I don't think I agree with that. I think especially if she's nice and kind, there's going to be a man out there who's on her level. Now, I do agree though that I do not think that men, just like men shouldn't be shamed into trying to get with single mothers, they shouldn't be shamed into having to get with a plus size woman or be like, oh, okay, if she's obese, we got to accept that she's slim thick. It's like, no, honey, you're morbidly obese.
Agree.
Like, and just call a spade a spade. So on that, that's really interesting, game changer. I have to say I never thought of it that way, but I think what caused you to come to this decision as far as like the mating strategy that says, let me tear you down as low as humanly possible so you will accept breadcrumbs? Like what caused you to come to that conclusion?
Decades of dating black women. No, honestly, decades of dating black women. Because you see, no, I've lived long enough to see the pattern. Like, you know, I'll never forget.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you're making me laugh.
Now, I will say, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. There is a sense of posing that I believe black women do just to lower your self-esteem. I understand that. But you got to understand, black women still behave in this thirsty way for white men, where black men's eyes aren't there to see it, right? Like the dude that offered black women weed and a plate of chicken. It wasn't a bunch of black men in that room that say, "Oh, you know what? Let me lower my self-esteem because obviously these women want somebody else. Let me lower my standards," or whatever the case may be. Where black men's eyes don't reach, they're still thirsty for white men. They still prefer white men. It's like the book. It's like the book. The book we always reference. The dating. The dating divide took women's behavior and showed you that they prefer white men. We weren't there to do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. That's all part of the tactic, Jermaine. You see, they're trying to create a scarcity equals value thing. They're trying to create a false sense of scarcity, just like there's a false scarcity of thin women amongst black women. There's a false scarcity of articulate women amongst black women. It's false scarcity. They want you to be like, oh, well, you know, all of these women are with white men, so I got to hurry up and get me a black woman. I don't care if she's big. I don't care if her hair is not real. They want you to make a decision out of desperation, because that's the only way someone will decide to get her. And that is the truth. That it's a tactic. Fellas, we got to be above this. We got to understand that we are the sugar honey iced tea with the BBC, and we deserve better. And if they're not going to give it to us, then others will. And that's what it comes down to.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Game Changer. You said you're in the Bay Area, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, in the Bay Area, there's no shortage. There's no shortage, especially if you are an attractive black man. There's no shortage of women of other races who might be available. Now it can get weird because I mean, feminism is just as toxic. Feminism is just as rampant. So I'm sure it can get strange out here. But I'm just saying that there are many options. You're not just limited to your own race of women. You're really not.
Exactly. And it's been like that for a while. And that's why I noticed that the tactic is more effective amongst Southern brothers, because I see y'all with some Angel Mama looking chicks and stuff like all the time, and y'all be in shape. So I do understand that it's demographics, but yes, there is a lot of diversity here, and we don't have to deal with that crap. You know, we understand. We discovered at a very young age that, you know, there are groups of women out there where you could see their collarbones. We don't have to put up with this, fellas. Understand this. There are better places in the world. There are better places in the country where you don't have to deal with stuff like this. Understand your value, no matter how much and that's all Sin G does. Like when you look at somebody like Sin G, You know, all she's like beta male, beta male, beta male. And then next thing you know, she's out with a beta male. That's their tactic. You know, she wants to tear you down so she can get you at a discount. I'm not falling for it. I know my worth, and I know she's fat, and I know that I'm not, and therefore I deserve better.
You know, it's so interesting about this comment real quick, because I even saw this with Lizzo, right? She's been in her weight loss journey and she's gotten a lot of pushback. And it's not like she's like super skinny. I mean, she's still a plus size woman, but she's been losing weight. She's been trying to get to a size that's healthy for her bone structure. And she's been getting a lot of pushback. And it's definitely, I feel like, in the Black culture where you're going to have an aunt or grandma or tell you, you're too skinny. You need to eat. You hear that in Black culture. You'd be like, don't lose too much weight. You hear that. It's definitely Black culture. Mm-hmm.
And that's because people like Lizzo and what's her name? What's Effie White's name? Jennifer Hudson. That's why they send a very clear message to Black men and boys. And this is the secret that, you know, that not even a lot of you brothers' mama want you to know. And that is, we're worth it. We are worth an hour on the treadmill every day. We are worth a salad. We are worth a protein shake, and we are worth 2 weeks of keto a year. We are worth it. And because and Lizzo is telling the world that we as Black men are worth it, and we should and we should wait for it. You know, we should embrace it on that.
And
that is the message that they don't want out. Just like with Simone Biles, they don't want Black men to know that they are worth something more. They're worth someone like Simone Biles, especially if you're a tall, handsome athlete yourself. You know, they don't want us to know their worth. So they're going to lash out at anybody who is hinting towards Black men, you're worth it.
Yeah.
What's the funny thing?
Interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say real quick, I am going to have to wrap this up. So if you want to share your final thoughts, it's always remain that name.
Listen, I definitely think Game Changer has a point. I personally think if you combine a thirsty Black woman with a bunch of white men who are the most, the biggest buyers of sex in the world, I think there's a lot of Black women being piped down by white men across this country. Across the world, matter of fact. But I will say this, though. Game Changer has a point. From going across Twitter, I notice white men have really high expectations for their women. When it comes to that promiscuous like behavior type stuff or whatever the case may be, they have a high expectation for their women. And which is really troubling, because if you look at Black women, at least culturally, they don't really fit into the wife mold for a white man at all.
Let me tell you this: the people that I know, because I have people in my family personally and close friends of mine, Black women who I've dated out. The ones that I know who I've not even dated and married out and are in relationships, it just so happens that they are all very attractive women, and it just so happens that they're all fit. Now, they may not be like sticks, they're like, all of them I can think of they're maybe more curvaceous Black women, but like you can tell that they work out, like they are attractive, fit Black women who happen to be in relationships with white men. And I'm like, okay.
That's not a coincidence. Mm-hmm. That's not a coincidence. The reason why Harvard is because it's difficult to get into. People feel valuable because they got into Harvard. Like that is what gives it its prestige. They set a standard. Because Black men don't have no standard, a person don't feel valuable, or if they accomplish something by being with you. They feel like, any fat chick that look like the one on the picture can get with you. So, why am I special? Why am I working out when I don't have to get you or someone like you? And I blame Jermaine for that. It is your fault. It is.
Jermaine. Well, let me say this real quick. One thing I've noticed on that, and I talk to my husband about this all the time, like no matter what gym, because I'm a part of 24 Hour,
Me
And so,
too.
you know, 24 hours, as long as you find a gym in your area where you're passing through, you can pretty much go in, especially if you have the highest tier. And I was like, you know, wherever I go, even if it's in like an area that's predominantly white or Asian or whatever, like there's always going to be at least a black man or a handful of black men. But it's very, very, very hard for me to find a black woman. And I don't know, it's like maybe I got to go to the 24-hour and like literally in Oakland or in certain parts where, you know, there's just hella black folks. But then it's like it gets really dusty in some of those gyms. You know what I mean? But I just think about that. I was like, wow, like why is it at the gym? Like I consistently see black men no matter where I'm at, no matter what location in the Bay Area. But I'm really hard pressed to see black women. And we've talked about this before. We're like, is it just location? Do black men just go to the gym? Do they work out more than black women? Like what?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You see, it's not a coincidence that the most athletic man on the planet, you know, is also has the least athletic women on the planet. That's not a coincidence, which means that when you see like a professional athlete, chances are his sister is fat and they grew up eating the same cereal that their mom served both of them. So one of them just worked out and the other one just didn't. That's what happens.
Huh.
This
is
No, it's a shame. And that's so instead of for us holding them to a standard and requiring that they do better for the sake of our penis, we lower our bar for them. And it's not doing us a service. It's not doing us a service because now we're looked at the DeVry of men. You know, we're not Harvard. We're not MIT. We're MTI. We are the crap. We are Laney College. We are the bottom.
College.
Yeah. She know what I mean. Yeah.
I know you know. Yeah.
We're not Berkeley. We're not Stanford. We're the bottom because we accept the bottom.
Huh.
Well, I will say this just to clear my name. I'm not saying I would date this woman. She's obviously brought the camera in super tight. You can't see her body. I'm pretty sure if she panned out, it'd be a totally different story. I do have high standards, but I will also say this, along with the rarity that I do have high standards, but along with the rarity of not accepting low standard, you also, black men in themselves have to be high standard as well. Which I love because, like I always say, since the 60s, black men have evolved, black women have devolved, and that's why we're separated. So, along with that, black men just keep doing your thing and keep evolving. I just want to put that message out there.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's always your main fault and game changer. None of you guys have to sit here and defend me your preferences. I am not here to shame that. It is a really interesting. It is a really. I don't think that's my place, but I understand. I think there's certain conversations that men can hold men accountable in a way that I think women can't, because there's just so much. Quite frankly, like as a woman, I'm like, there's just so much within the female population that I feel like the focus needs to be. I'm not going to sit here and browbeat a man on what he should be attracted to. But I do think you mentioned some really, really good points I want to think on. Anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out. I am going to have to wrap this up, but thank you guys for calling in.
Thanks. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Okay. Good. Right. Okay. Take care. Okay, really interesting stuff. I want to real quick acknowledge some of the super chats I saw came through. My 2 cents 1999 says, in the black woman's mind, they are settling and they will take a legless white man and prop them up. It's discussing the level of hatred they have for black men. Black women in general, not all, but most at this point are treasonous. Thank you for the 1999. I'm with you, right? When I'm going to say, yeah, not all black women. Of course, not all black women. There are good ones out there. Like I'm quick to want to defend and I'm quick to want to come to the defense and make a distinction. But I also recognize that the lack of pushback and sometimes the silence or complicity that I see when there are egregious acts that are done, especially when it comes from like these mega influencers or these spaces where like you have people who are making declarative statements about black people or black women, black men, and there's not pushback. Again, men are left to come to the conclusion that, okay, well, If this thing is happening, the black woman black woman must be in agreement. I mentioned the whole thing again with Meg Thee Stallion when she dropped that video a few months ago where she was basically dancing on the graves of black men. And I was pissed. I was really upset about that. And I went to X and did a video on it. And I had a lot of people who were like, you're tripping. This is just art, not a big deal. But I'm like, well, art imitates life. You have a black woman who worked with a white producers to create a video where she is consistently, her and black women are consistently unaliving black men. I don't care how much you want to try to make that art. Like, that's really dangerous. That's not anything I want to celebrate, particularly in this climate. So it's things like that where it's like, I want to say not all black women are like this. Of course, there are beautiful black women. Of course, this and that. But I understand now the way marketing and media works. When these negative messages go out unchecked, then it can cause more men to side eye and be like, well, why aren't more people standing up against this? Why aren't we seeing more outrage? Why aren't we? And so that's what we're dealing with right now. So I appreciate you, again, I appreciate you with that for sure. And another one here, it says, nothing wrong with dating other races, but to commit slander and libel against black men in the process is, yeah, that part right there. That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody really cares. We just want to make sure that like you're being cool and respectful. This one here, it says another thing. Let's not forget the untold competition black women are having with the white women. Some of them think they can take the white woman's place. Okay, so you know another strange thing. I don't know if this is a Bay Area thing. I don't know if this is a Bay Area thing. Maybe Game Changer, you can speak to this. This might be another part too. What is it with black women in the Bay, at least, that have the snow bunny crisis? And hear me out. I think I mentioned this in another live where the Black Joy Parade, when I saw a lot of black lesbians with white women. So I know you mentioned a competition, yes, but I'm like, okay, do some women get to the point where they're like, okay, if I can't beat him, I'm going to join them? And so instead of competing, they try to assimilate. And if they maybe are not able to get with the white men, or they just don't really like black men like that or whatever, then the next logical option is to go with a white woman. I mean, I don't know. I've thought about this, but I found it really interesting. Like when I've seen, because I've seen there's quite a bit of interracial lesbians in the Bay in particular. I'm like, I think I've just found it interesting given the cultural climate, right? Again, this is the post Trump, the 92% of black women, and we saw the way we saw the way white men and white women showed up. And people have this idea that just to be in California means that everything is liberal. No, there are a ton of Republican areas, even in the Bay Area. There are a ton of Republican cities, even in the Bay, little towns you're passing through. Right next to Oakland, outside of Oakland, headed towards 15 minutes from, there's a ton of Republican areas. So you can find avid Trump supporters even out here. But even with that, it was like, wow, I didn't see this swirling change I'm seeing more white women and black women, which I found so intriguing given the competition that we know exists. So yeah, you said Livermore, right. All of those, Livermore, Danville, he's talking about towns that are super Republican. I actually went to a farmer's market out in one of those areas at one point, and I remember there being a Trump. Actually, no, it was a farmer's market in Pleasanton, which is right next to Livermore. He's talking about cities. These are all suburbs outside of. I went to farmer's market there because they have a farmer's market that I like, that I try to go to if I can, because there's some all over the Bay, and they had a Trump parade. San Francisco Bay Area, like 45 minutes outside of SF, they had a Trump parade. So, yeah, it's just something I've noticed for sure. There's one here. Yeah, so you already mentioned that. This one here, it says, "This is why I love you, black men." Video. Yeah. So again, going back to my point, the little performative gestures aren't gonna hit it. Some guys just really need to see action. Game Changer with the 2, it says, "Fellas demand more and they will listen." They're sitting there with Lizzo up. You're talking about Lizzo getting on her health journey. I really am. I'm happy for Lizzo. I want her to be at whatever size is actually going to be healthy for her bone structure. Okay. I understand people want to talk about big bones, et cetera, and like I understand not everybody's going to be a size 2. Not everybody's going to be. Some people are just naturally taller. They have a naturally more, there's different body shapes. So I am not an advocate for women having to be anorexic because some of you guys mentioned, white culture. Listen, you straight up have, I mean, white women tend to struggle more with. This came from my therapist I had seen a while back, right? Black woman. She talked about how of her client, she was like, yeah, white women tend to struggle more with anorexia, and then Black women tend to struggle more with binge eating. So she talked about she noticed when there was, toxic behavior or mental health problems, and they were basically turning to things. She was like, yeah, white women turn to anorexia, whereas Black women tend to turn to binge eating. So it's like they handle their trauma differently. You said big bones from eating Necco. I can't, but I cannot. Okay, so anyways, yeah, this has been a good conversation. Interesting stuff for sure. Interesting perspective. Game changer, always bringing in some different things for me to consider. We may not always agree, but I think I always like hearing your guys' perspective, because that's what people are thinking. That's what people are going through. And also, as someone, as a Black man in the dating market, or someone who's, I'm assuming still in the dating market, it's going to be a different experience for you than for me, who's, married, right? And also, it is true. Women who show up, right? They talk about this in, I think, fat activism. Women who show up in, what do they call conventionally? There are all these terms, but basically, women who have a healthy BMI, or who are not overweight, the way they show up and the way that they're perceived in the world is a lot different than women who are plus size or obese. They do have different experiences. That is true. So, and I also can be more mindful of that myself when it comes to my perspective on things. Even my experience with men and dating and all of that is going to be different than somebody who was plus sized and was plus sized, at the prime as they're trying to navigate. And so I can be mindful too, that that's also going to impact my lens, and I may not fully always understand the other side. So anyways, guys, this has been good. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, share this with anyone that you find it interesting. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. And yeah, just thanks for the support. Again, you can find me Cash App, Venmo, Shay Sade. Also, you can check out my store and pre-order my book. It's Not Jermaine's Fault. I know you did say it was Jermaine's fault, but I'm like, we're working on the book, right? I've mentioned this, the book I'm working on right now, where it's teaching young Black boys about anti-Black misandry, and ultimately we're creating literature for boys that actually speaks to them. So be sure to check that out. It's available for pre-order. I'm about to drop it. I think with this week, I'm going to drop it, make it available for people to actually, for those who have purchased and then those who want to purchase. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. We'll talk later. Okay, bye.